I mean, Jonathan, like Rich mentioned, there was a fear because I think a couple of seasons ago the WSL was cut short because games weren't allowed to play, and then I think that was the season that we got relegated because we weren't on enough points. And at that point, did you feel, given that football wasn't, I mean, football for the men's game was suspended and came back in July or sometime during the summer, but did you feel from the women fear for the women's game, given we know how the FA kind of treats the women's league in the sense that their priority is definitely the men's game, where money is the biggest sort of revenue for them, and then they probably looked at the women's game secondary. Now, I'm not saying that's right. That's definitely not right. But did you fear that, given as long as these sort of regulations or the rules, COVID rules apply, that women's football might not be back at any point?
I thought it might come back in a different capacity. I think we have done well. I think it took us long enough to come back, but now that we are back, when we went to LSV, nothing changed apart from the way that we actually entered the stadium. So from Man United supporters' point of view, it's almost like we hadn't been away. But yeah, don't forget there's a lot of teams out there that haven't got a men's team that's like equivalent. Me and Rich were just discussing about, we never really thought that maybe no teams would actually be would suffer, but maybe like people behind the scenes maybe, or like maybe potential redundancies might have been the case. But Rich, did you just want to kind of say what you were saying before we got cut off?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Do you want to ask the question again, or do you want
No,
to start
that's fine.
off?
You could just start off. That's fine.
Yeah, so obviously from a club point of view, it's been odd in a way, and it's been odd, but it's also been very normal, sort of being at games. And I was very privileged in kind of both my jobs really as a journalist, that we were still given access to games. I mean, the access has changed a lot, particularly when it comes to like press conferences. They all, even now, are still being done on Zoom. Post match, a lot of clubs are still doing things on Zoom, and I hope that goes back to normal and goes back to face, because I don't really think there's too much of a reason it shouldn't. Now, if we can go to games, I think we can speak to the manager or players in an outdoor environment. But yeah, we can still go to games, and I remember going to Wembley for the Community Shield, the first Women's Community Shield last year, and it was just empty. It was just a few people in the media box, and it was very surreal. And obviously with Sheffield United, obviously was going to all of our games last year, home and away. And it's weird because you kind of get used to it in a way that there's nobody there. And when you sat sort of amongst the subs and the staff and everything, you kind of have that little bit of atmosphere around you anyway, so you kind of block out the fact that there's no fans in the ground, and you do actually get used to it. It was funny because obviously there was a lot of sort of people. I think towards the end of the year, I remember there was a story around. I mean, I think there was some stories around Man United actually in facilities, but there was one around Chelsea when they played Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Bayern Munich, they said they had to get changed in the bar and things like that. And it was funny because like people were sort of up in arms about all these stories, and I was just like, this is how it is, because everyone had different COVID protocols. Everyone, there was some that were set by the league, and within that, clubs could kind of then pick and choose what they wanted to do as well. And a lot of clubs, basically, because of social distancing, had to spread their squad between both their changing rooms. So instead of just using the home changing room like you would used to, you'd use home and away, which obviously would mean the away team had to get changed somewhere else. That was often, like a bar area or a conference room. We had that. I think when we went to Liverpool at Prenton Park, we got changed in the bar. Some stadiums, I think we went to Aston Villa in the Cup, we were somewhere completely the other side of the stadium. Even this year, we went to Blackburn on the opening day, and we were still getting changed in the bar because of the proximity between the two changing rooms and the fact Blackburn needed both the changing rooms. And people were up in arms. Our clubs were having like portaloo toilets and things because you couldn't use them. You weren't allowed to go inside, and even at our training ground now, we still have portable toilets outside because you can only have sometimes a certain amount of people in the building. And these were probably the things that maybe fans didn't understand, and how actually extreme it kind of was. I'd never complain because we still got to go to football games, but you did have to jump through a lot of hoops just to be able to attend a match, in terms of where you could go, what you could do, and yeah, it was crazy. Like, but again, you sort of just got used to it, and you still get used to it now. Walking into a stadium and wearing a mask, or having to be in a red zone or an amber zone or something like that. And the proximity again between teams in different changing rooms and trying not to mix bubbles. So it was, we were very lucky, whether it's with the media or with Sheffield United, that I've still been able to go to pretty much every game that I ever wanted to in the last 12 months. But yeah, I mean, it's been so different. You get used to it, like I said, but it's been a big change.
Well, yeah, it definitely sounds like it. I mean, if I had read something about teams getting changed in the bar or something like that, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would be angry about it, and I guess angry because the state of the game itself. But like you mentioned, it's sort of the norm right now rather than a rarity. So, but yeah, I mean, it's troubling to know that that's the case.